Hello YouTube, and welcome to another Elder Scrolls lore video. Today we're talking about something that has bugged my viewers for quite some time. What's the importance of the Elder Scrolls themselves? All games, Skyrim, Oblivion, Morrowind, Online, Blades and all the others, they're all part of the Elder Scrolls series, but while I've made lore videos on this series for more than 5 years now, I rarely mention the scrolls themselves. Why are they so important then, that they're the name of the very series, while we rarely talk about them? That's a question that I aim to answer today. So like I said in the introduction, the scrolls themselves are not often talked about in the games or in lore videos. They aren't even that important in most of the games, not even making an appearance in the first few games, and when they first appeared in the Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion, they were part of a side quest line where you stole one out of the Imperial palace. Only in Skyrim and the Elder Scrolls Blades did the scrolls become a bit more defined in the main quest, but even then they always played somewhat of a secondary role in the adventures. So what makes them so important then, that they are still the name of the series? Well, the Elder Scrolls themselves are so-called fragments of creation, left over from when the mortal plane, Mundus, was created. While they look like relatively ordinary decorated scrolls, they are ancient artifacts from a time before there was any time. Why these fragments were left over from creation, or whether they were created on purpose, or whether they were just the residue of the creation process, nobody really knows. The scrolls have very strange properties in that they both exist and don't exist at the same time. They are essentially timeless, as existing out of the flow of time, yet needing the flow of time to exist in the mortal plane in the first place. When looking upon a scroll, all untrained mortals can see are strange symbols, blinding lights, and something which resembles the constellations. These constellations that we can see have led some to speculate that the scrolls may have been part of the blueprint that was used to create the universe, while others have speculated that the constellations that we see on the scrolls are rather imprints of the created universe, burned on the scrolls after the creation of the universe. Which one is true, or whether there's a whole other truth altogether, we don't really know. What we do know is that each scroll is different, and that reading one untrained may lead to insanity, illness and blindness. Again, if you're untrained, and even for the trained eye it's very hard. But if one's trained in reading the scrolls can provide insight into time and the universe, specifically to trained mortals like those in the Order of the Moth Priests. To them, the Elder Scrolls can show the reader different versions of all kinds of possible futures that might be and possible pasts that never came to be. Due to this property, the reader can gain insight into reflections of the possibilities for the future or the past by reading one of these scrolls. But each reader sees different reflections as they observe the scrolls, and yet when the scrolls show you the future that the scrolls tell is not set in stone, as it can be changed. The scroll may prophesy about the coming of a great evil, but at the same time that prophecy might lead to the standing up of a hero to stop that evil. And this is part of the reason why the scrolls are so important, because most of the evils that we fight in the games, Alduin, Maroon's Dagon, Dagoth-Ur, Molech Bal, Selamariel, Jagartharn, all of their comings have been foretold by the scrolls, and the ages of darkness that they would usher in were also foretold by the scrolls. Yet they have always been stopped by heroes in the games that we of course play, showing definitively that the future that the scrolls tell is not set in stone and can be changed, and that the scroll itself shows different futures, as the scroll also foretold the coming of the hero. And yet, once a certain thing has happened in the present, it will be set in stone and can no longer be changed. Let's take Alduin from Skyrim as a practical example to make this fake concept a bit more concrete. The scrolls foretold Alduin's coming and his eating or destroying of the world, yet in response a hero, also foretold by the scrolls, rose, who is the last Dragonborn, the one that we play in the Elder Scrolls V Skyrim. His or her victory over Alduin was not certain, but was foretold. Both defeat and victory and failure to rise are possible futures. Yet if you play Skyrim and defeat Alduin, you fulfilled the future in which Alduin gets defeated. The defeat of Alduin in Skyrim, once it happened, has become a certainty because it has come to pass and can no longer be changed. When one looks at a scroll after Alduin's defeat, the scroll will tell that Alduin has been defeated in the past. Yet all other possible paths like Alduin's victory or the Dragonborn not becoming a Dragonborn, but I don't know, becoming the Archmage of the College of Winterhold and never even touching a dragon, all those possible paths can still be viewed, but the scroll will tell you that those paths have not come to pass and that the real present is the present that resulted out of the defeat of Alduin, so that possible past. In this lies the second part of why the scrolls are so important, because the scrolls in an essence are the games. In the games the player has an almost infinite amount of choices, yet once one has been made, one can't undo it. For that playthrough at least, because the choices are set once you've done something. But by playing again, one can view all other possible abilities. Think about it, your character in Skyrim is maybe a stealth archer and you do the Dark Brotherhood and Thieves Guild questline and maybe never touch the main quest. While my character is a Sword and Shield character and I do the main questline and I don't know, the Darkenlord questline. Both playthroughs are radically different, we experience different things and the main character is a different person, is a completely different race maybe, and does different things in the playthrough. So our playthroughs then show radically different versions of what could have happened in Skyrim. Both show different futures, and like that every playthrough by anyone is different, and thus the games show all possible futures of what might have happened during the time period that the games plays in. Yet, once the next Elder Scrolls games comes out, so like with Oblivion and Morrowind when the sequels come out, some type of playthrough will likely become canon, or at least some choices will become canon. And thus, now, once the new game is out and the old game has happened, the past is no longer changeable in the scrolls, but we can still go back to the older games and still view the other possible paths by playing them. We just now know what the canon ending is. For example, we know that in Morrowind Dagoth got defeated, but we can still go back to Morrowind and perhaps play a questline where we just join a guild and never even touch the main questline, and we can still see what that past was. We just know that the canon past was the one where Dagoth got defeated. And that's the essence. The games are the scrolls. It is all a bit confusing, and it's one of those topics which is up for endless debate in the community, but these are the basics, and honestly, I personally really like this concept. Now, before ending this video, I want to tell you something else about the Elder Scrolls, which is interesting. Actually, two things. You see, the scrolls themselves are just the insides of these jeweled containers that the scrolls are in. The fabric that they are made of are the scrolls, and that fabric is protected by the case that we see, which is sort of the image of an Elder Scroll that we have come to know and love. And the case in turn protects the mortals from accidentally looking upon the divine fabric and turning blind or mad without actually intending to do so. But who made these cases? We don't know. Some have speculated that the Alessian Empire might have created them, but that can't be true, as we can see an Elder Scroll being used back in the Meretic era by the ancient Nords that banished Alduin to the future, far before there even was an Alessian Empire. And in addition to that, we know that other continents like Yokuda also have had Elder Scrolls, since we can see one of them on the reliefs of the ancient Yokudan temples with ancient Yokudan gods, like in the image that I should put on the screen right now. Based on this, that there are multiple continents and have been around like this presumably far before the humans even came to Tamriel, I'd say it was probably the Elnofe before the Elnofe wars that created these cases, although that's just my personal speculation. So, the other thing that I wanted to say is, if the other continents really had Elder Scrolls like Yokuda, then maybe other continents, like Altmuris, the home continent of the elves, also might have had Elder Scrolls. And what if the reason that they abandoned their homeland, because the elves abandoned their homeland at some point because some mysterious impending doom was coming to the homeland, even though there wasn't anything concrete as far as we know. What if they saw that in an Elder Scroll and thus were like, okay, we need to get out of here now, before it happens. Well, maybe the future hadn't even been set in stone yet. I don't know. We don't really have anything concrete on the matter, but I found it interesting, and it was the first thing that came to mind when I saw this image of an Elder Scroll on a Yokudan relief. Pretty interesting to me personally. That said, I really want to thank you for watching this video. I hope you thought it was interesting. If you did, consider returning next week to the next Elder Scrolls lore video. And if you may have been confused by some of the stuff that I said in this video, especially if you aren't too invested in the lore with terms like Yakuda, Elnofe, Altmuris, Meretic Era. So if you had any problems understanding these kind of terms, then I really recommend watching my introduction to the Elder Scrolls lore. In that long video there I go over the basics of all the lore, and I give a pretty good outline of most information required to watch videos like this. Give it a watch if you're interested in that kind of thing. That said, thank you for watching. Before I end things, allow me to thank my top patrons: Bernardo Binda, Gabriel Binda, Sword of Bushido, Polarized Poutine, Zor Mikhail and Mr. Christmas. These awesome people, along with all the others that you see on screen right now, are my Patreon supporters and they keep this channel alive. So, if you like this video, consider returning next week for the next Elder Scrolls lore video. And with that, I'm going hard at work at next week's video. Bye.